Hey guys, welcome to this video. My name is Matt Numrich, and in this video right here, we're going to cover mass attack with weapons. If you haven't checked out our regular basic mass attack video, make sure you guys do so. It's going to kind of give you the basis or the foundation of many things that we're going to cover in this video. But it's very, very important that you guys understand the fundamentals, so you guys have a basic understanding of mass attack. This one's just going to raise the bar a little bit. Now we're talking about mass attack with weapons. What exactly does that mean? Well, before we get started on that, make sure you guys like this video and also subscribe to this channel. We got so much more that we want to share with you guys. Obviously, just like you guys know, we upload new videos each and every week. All right, mass attack with weapons. You know, what's the first things we need to understand here? Well, once again, I'm going to be blending in some pretty basic fundamental stuff right here with mass attack defense, but then also including in some caveats, some little details that are very, very important right here. My two assistants today, I have obviously Don right here, and then I also have Mark who are helping us out. They have three different types of weapons in their hands right here. They have an edged weapon, an impact weapon, and a projectile weapon. The projectile weapon, we're obviously going to be talking about a gun, but they need all three types of weapons. These are three main categories of weapons that we have. And I'll say them once again. They're edge, which is anything sharp, impact, anything that smacks, not necessarily cuts, and last but not least, projectile. In this case right here, instead of using, let's say, a blowgun, we're going to go ahead and we're going to use a firearm. The reason why I'm starting off right here is because when you talk about a mass attack situation, if you're only kind of image of a mass attack situation is having two unarmed attackers attack you, well, yeah, I'm not saying that that's wrong, but it's only part of it. We need to make sure that we expand our vision and realize when we're talking about true self-defense, you know, things may not just be that simplistic, you know, and mass attack is already messy as it is. In a mass attack situation, we could have our assailants carrying weapons. And what we need to do is we need to know how to handle that kind of a situation. So if we go ahead and we take out this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with them having both sticks. So they're going to drop their weapons behind them. They're both going to cover and a stick situation. Now, what do we do in this kind of situation? Well, you need to know what to do with a empty hand versus stick situation. We do have a video on that, so make sure you guys check out that. But my goal is that I need to first identify who is the more dangerous kind of priority. And in this situation, it is equal, right? They both have impact weapons. But now what happens if we go ahead and we change it up a little bit? So let's say we have Don exchange his weapon out for a knife. So we have Mark with a stick. We now have Don with a knife. Who's the more dangerous kind of person right here? Somebody with a knife or somebody with a stick? Well, what I want to do is I want to have you kind of assume some sort of a hierarchy when it comes to weapons. I usually put, as far as the least dangerous weapon, something like an impact weapon. Now, this could be, let's say, a stick. It could be a bat. And I know a lot of you guys are already thinking, how could that be the least dangerous weapon? If you've ever been hit by a bat, it's pretty dangerous, okay? It's pretty brutal, and you are exactly right. But if you just want to ask yourself kind of like this funny question, I hope to kind of expand on this and making sure that you guys understand what is a more brutal kind of a consequence to either get hit with a stick or slashed with a knife. I think most of us would agree it's much more brutal to get slashed with a knife than hit with some sort of a stick like an impact weapon. So in this kind of scenario right here, I would say that Don is the more dangerous priority, and that's just what I'm going to call it right here. It's a dangerous priority. So in that kind of situation, I always want to make sure that I handle the more dangerous kind of situation first. So when I go ahead and zone, I'm zoning around this person to take care of this kind of scenario first. Let's go ahead and let's change things up a little bit just so we get a little bit better idea. Let's say that Mark has a gun and Don has a knife. What is the more dangerous, or who is the more dangerous person in this kind of scenario? Is it somebody who's holding a gun, or is it somebody who is holding a knife? Well, I think most of you guys would agree that the more dangerous person would be somebody with a projectile weapon, like specifically like a gun. So who do we want to zone around in that case? And that's really what this first question is answering. Who's the more dangerous person? And in that case, I want to zone around that person first. The reason why this is so important is because if I zone around, let's say, the least important person and I end up disarming this weapon, well, I'm doing so at a range now where this person is, well, let's just say, much more dangerous, right? They're going to go ahead and shoot me. If I'm holding a knife and I just took out their friend, they have the upper hand in this kind of situation. On the other hand, if I go ahead and I zoned around this person and I've disarmed this person and taken this weapon away, now what do we have in this kind of situation? Well, I'm holding a gun up against a second assailant who's holding a knife. Who has the upper hand in this kind of situation? It's obviously, once again, the person with the gun right here. Let's go ahead and let's chain things around just a little bit more. I'm not even gonna tell these guys what to grab. I just want them to grab 2 separate weapons, and then I want you guys to answer the question, who's the more dangerous priority? Go ahead and pick up 1 weapon each. Good. Stop right here. Well, who's the more dangerous kind of priority right here? Would it be Mark here with a knife, or would it be Don with a gun? I think we can assume it's gonna be Don with a gun. Go ahead and switch your weapons again, wherever you guys want. Good. Now in this situation, who's the more dangerous situation or person? Is it somebody holding an impact weapon or someone holding a knife? I think we already answered that again. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to throw in one more element. And the reason why I've saved this part to a little bit later on in the description right here is I think this will make things click a little bit more. I'm going to have them go ahead and change up weapons, but I'm only going to have one person pick up a weapon. So in this case, what I want is I want Mark to go ahead and drop his weapon. Don's going to go ahead and pick up a stick. Now, in this kind of a situation right here, who's the more dangerous situation, or person, I should say? It is the person with the weapon, right? So who would I zone around first? Well, I would zone around the person right here and take this person out right here. Let's walk through the wrong kind of an answer and why it's the wrong kind of an answer. If I would zone around this person first, and let's say even take out this person, what's the problem? Well, the problem is I'm at a long range up against a long range weapon. This would be a bad situation. If some of you guys are asking, well, what happens if the person, let's say, just has a knife? So I'm going to go ahead and set up where Mark doesn't have a weapon, just like before. Don has a knife. How does this all work out? Well, if you watched our mass attack defense video, you're going to know that going ahead and zoning is very, very important. So we zone that. Let's say I take out this person, but let's say I get tied up with this person. If I get tied up with this person and Don can come over here and start stabbing and slashing me while I am held up right here. Extremely, extremely dangerous. So what we need to do in this particular situation right here is understand that the more dangerous priority must be taken out first. In this kind of scenario, if I zone over here and I'm able to take this person out, okay, then I go ahead. Now I can take out this person as well, much easier, okay? So handling and realizing who is the more dangerous priority is paramount in realizing who we zone around first. When we mix in empty hands, let's say one person does not have a weapon and one person has a weapon, it's an easy decision because the person with the weapon is always going to be the more dangerous priority. That's the person that we want to go ahead and go over next. So within this video right here, we need to know how to handle knife against empty hand, stick against empty hand, how to disarm a weapon, etc., etc. These are all fundamentals that play into this video and also must play into your training as well. The next part of this video, I want to go ahead and start covering how do we train this kind of scenario when we have a mass attack situation with weapons. You know, who do I zone around first? Well, this is just a very, very simple way, and it's a progressive way. What I don't really kind of want people to do is just jump right into sparring where all of a sudden people are chasing after you, you know, with weapons, and it gets really, really messy. This is a nice little stepping stone drill that I always go through my students, and I want to go ahead and I want to share it with you. All it is just what we call an exposure drill. And what that means is I have 2 people behind me. They each have 3 different types of weapons. They each have a projectile weapon. In this case, it is a gun, impact weapon, and also an edged weapon. They're going to go ahead and they're going to pick up a weapon. So I'm going to have one of these guys, or both of those guys, I should say, each pick up a weapon real quick. And then when they're ready, they're just going to go ahead and say ready. Good. I'm going to turn around, and from right here, then I have to decide who would be the more dangerous kind of priority right here. Well, as we've already said numerous times, if Mark has a stick and Don has a knife, I'm going to zone around this person first and then take care of this person. We're going to go ahead and do this again. And also, what you want to do is you want to make sure that they also have the freedom to not grab a weapon at all. Okay, now what I don't want to do is I don't want this drill to be turned into them both not picking up a weapon. Okay, but that could be an option that can happen. So we go ahead and we do that real quick. All right, go ahead. And when they're ready, they're just going to go ahead and say ready. Good. Once that happens, I'm going to turn around. Who's more dangerous situation, or who's more dangerous priority right here? Is it somebody without a weapon, or is it somebody with a gun? Obviously, the person with a gun, I would zone around that person first, go ahead and take that weapon away, and then I have that person to deal with next. I'm going to do one more round just like this. They can go ahead and mix it up however they want. Whenever they're ready, they're going to say, I'm ready, and I turn around and I just simply walk through the drill. This is great because it's a stepping stone and it helps you intellectually prepare for this kind of scenario right here without having the intensity where all of a sudden we're making too many mistakes right at the beginning. So go ahead. Good. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to turn around. So I have a knife versus stick. Who would I zone around this kind of situation? Obviously, it is Mark. I zone around that, and then I go ahead and take that person out of commission first. Then I can go ahead and move to the stick. That is our first little step up in the progression of how to train this stuff. We're going to go ahead and cover another level here just in a second. All right, the next progression that we're going to do is, after having the exposure drill, is we're going to go ahead and we're going to start working through these scenarios. But we're going to do so at about half speed. I always make sure that our students just don't go from 0 speed to 100% speed. We go ahead and we take nice little steps, nice little progression. It leads to much better results. So when we go ahead and we have this kind of scenario, we do the exact same thing. It starts off an exposure drill where I turn around. I have to make a decision who's the more dangerous priority. And then what I'm going to do is actually carry through the whole kind of situation, but I'm only going to do it at about 33 or 50% speed. So only about a third to a half speed right here. So they're going to go ahead, they're going to set it up. They'll say ready when they're ready. Good. In that situation, I go right here, I zone around here, and I go ahead, take out that person. Once I'm to that situation, then I go ahead and I take out this. Now notice these people did not attack me at full speed, and that is the goal right there. We're going to go ahead and set this up again. I'm going to ask these guys to go ahead and mix up the scenario again. We'll do the exact same thing. Good. I turn around right here. I have a knife and a gun, okay? Who do I do right here? I want to zone here. Now, in this kind of situation, I'm so glad these guys chose this combination because a lot of people ask, what happens in this kind of situation? Well, in this situation, we must close the gap, but we must do so in a submissive way. If I go ahead and I race over to the guy with the gun, person's going to go ahead and shoot me, right? So if I go ahead and I say, hey man, listen, I'm so sorry, then I go ahead and I act from there. What I don't want to do is kind of just jump at the person where it's going to scare them or it's going to cause them to pull the trigger. So I can go ahead and I can still zone, okay, as this person follows me right here, that's fine. But as I'm doing that, I'm also getting closer. Once I'm in this range right here, we go ahead and we turn it right into our regular gun disarm right here. Now I have gun up against a knife. I'm in a much better position than I was just a couple seconds ago.